sitting on the porch of the cabin. It's like one of my favorite places in the world. It's a lot better when my loved ones are here. I don't have too many loved ones. Two of them are coming up in a few days. One of them will probably be back here with me in the spring. But I have finished a book, or, you could kind of call this a pamphlet. Massacre at Mackinac, 1763. Alexander Henry's travels and adventures in Canada and the Indian Territories between the years 1760 and 1764. It's only 118 pages, but it was very interesting. I kind of devoured this thing. Alexander Henry wrote 3 volumes, and this is only the first volume. It was published in 1809, so he had to remember all this stuff and write it down. But a little bit about this book. I'm sure that we bought this book back in the 60s. We must have visited Fort Michilimackinac, which they have rebuilt at Mackinac City. We were there as tourists, and I'm sure I was just a little kid. I was under 10 years old, there with my family, my brothers and sisters, and my mother and father. And so one of us begged to get this book, and I clearly remember, this picture on the cover, and it's kind of the same thing on the back. The picture of the massacre, I remember being fascinated and terrified by it when I was a kid, but I never read the book. The account of the massacre is actually very short. It's only a few pages. The rest of it is all this guy traveling around, and this guy being held captive by the Indians, and this guy living peaceably with the Indians, and going in these big canoes and stuff. I just have a few notes here. He gives a great, very detailed description of canoes and how the canoes are made, and what a voyageur canoe looked like. They were fucking huge. There was like 10 men in the thing, and they're carrying 1,000 pounds of goods. This is in a birch bark canoe. And I just got a little bit to read here, and then that's it. And it's 22 and 23. And my note before this is, Henry has just arrived in Michilimackinac. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this is when the French-Indian War is going on. And the Canadians at this time are largely French. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the Chippewa came to my house, about 60 in number, and headed by Minavavana, their chief. They walked in single file, each with his tomahawk in one hand and scalping knife in the other. Their bodies were naked from the waist upward, except in a few examples where blankets were thrown loosely over the shoulders. Their faces were painted with charcoal, worked up with grease, their bodies with white clay in patterns of various fancies. Some had feathers thrust through their noses, and their heads decorated with the same. It is unnecessary to dwell on the sensations with which I beheld the approach of this uncouth, if not frightful, assemblage. He's English, and the Indians are at war with the English, and the Canadians are kind of like Switzerland. They're like neutral, So the Canadians don't do much to save him. There's a couple that help him out. There's an Indian that had met him previously and adopted him as his brother, and this Indian really is the one, and his family that save him from being put to death by these other Indians. He goes and lives with them. At one point, I wish I would have marked it, but at one point he disguises himself as a Canadian, and as he's writing about what his disguise was, the final thing he did was wipe dirt and grease all over his face. And that's how he disguised himself as a Canadian. I thought that was funny. And I have one more thing here to read. The footnote on page 42. This has been reprinted by another author who, changed things around and put footnotes. And this guy, Henry, is talking about meeting somebody at a certain place. And the guy who rewrites the book says, since Sir Robert Dovers of Suffolk, England, was killed and eaten by the Indians near Detroit on May 9th, 1763, Henry's date is obviously incorrect. While a lot of this is going on, the Indians have Detroit under siege. Pontiac, I believe, is the Indian chief that is in charge of all of that. Thanks for watching. Oh, I can't upload while I'm up here. So I'm able to upload anything that's like a minute and a half. It uploads right away, just like normal. But the book reviews, which are a little bit longer, I cannot upload. It'll go an hour, and the thing is like 1% uploaded. So I have this one, and I have a previous one that I'll have to upload, I don't know, maybe when I get back to Florida. Thanks for watching.